Welcome to a new video. Today we'll be talking about youth entrepreneurship and the mindset behind it, especially within Africa. And to discuss this, I have the excellent Zibusiso here. So Zibu, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Letabo, for such an introduction. Yeah, it's nice to be called excellent. So I'm happy to be here to discuss about youth entrepreneurship based on my past experiences and what basically I think about entrepreneurship. So yeah, so maybe before diving in deep into like my experiences with entrepreneurship, I'll just explain my background.
Yeah.
So my name is Zibusiso Mtunzi, but a lot of people call me Zibu. And I'm from Zimbabwe, born and raised, then did my undergraduate degree in Mauritius, where I was studying electrical power systems engineering. But during that time, I was also running a venture called ZibuTravels, where I was, it was mainly like a concierge service where I was planning a lot of trips for maybe students and a lot of like the African tourists who would travel into Mauritius who wanted to experience Mauritius, but with an African touch. So that's what I sort of like specialized in sort of like personalizing those kind of trips and those kind of travel experiences. Then went back home during COVID, and you know how COVID hit a lot of like the tourism industry, then started working, but now really thinking about how to balance COVID and how to balance the whole tourism industry, because we need to find a way to keep the tourism industry sort of like sustainable
And alive.
With COVID still present. So it's really trying to figure out all that. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm researching on at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. That's an excellent introduction. Because I remember I did meet you 2019 as we went to the same university, and I was your neighbor for a brief amount of time. And
Yeah.
I remember also, my mother also attended one of your services, the ZibuTravels, and she said that it was an excellent experience. And the way you coordinated your business was quite excellent as well, because you had a personal touch to it. So I think that also sidelined with that. I remember there was a few events that you also planned. And
Yes, yes.
when you attended those events, they were also of a great magnitude as well. And they were organized. There was a proper structure, and it didn't look like, you know, how you'd typically expect a lot of events. It looked extremely professional. There was from entrance all the way to the end of the show. And also sometimes when we discussed and we'd have conversations, your mindset was always this fascination to me, because you seeked or sought out for so many opportunities, and once catching one, you went onto it and you excelled in it. So with that, I wanted to get a bit of your minds of your inspiration. So what inspired you to seek these opportunities, but not only just find them and do nothing with it, but actually build them and put 100% of yourself in them, even if you're doing multiple ventures?
Nice. I think I owe that a lot to my background and
Mhm.
where I was raised. So growing up at home, being the firstborn, days like my parents really didn't know, like as in what to do, like as in they knew they had to take me to school and all that. Like there was no formula of whatever they needed to do. But I was that inquisitive kid, like growing up. Like I would ask questions, very annoying questions, like, oh, why is this happening? Why are we doing this? Why? So I was that annoying kid. But that kind of like annoyance, the way my parents treated it, it didn't make me feel like I'm annoying, but it made me feel like I just need answers. I want to learn more. I want to understand a lot of things. Then went on to high school, and I was in boarding school. So you're there, you're fending for yourself. Like you are literally fending for yourself.
Yeah.
And I always knew that I want to better my life. I want to see myself going from step A to step B, whether it's a slow step, whether it's an 8.5 or 8.6. So long as I'm moving up the ladder, that's something which has kept me going. So when I was in high school, I was constantly looking for opportunities. I would tell teachers that I want opportunities which will take me out of this environment which I'm in. I want to go further with my life. So doing that would, if there was a teacher like the librarian, he would
Yeah.
see opportunities on the newspaper and he's like, oh, Zivu, do you want to try this? Then I'm jumping on that opportunity. Come the results, I might get it. So if I do like a calculation, I would say if I would maybe take part in 15 competitions in a year, I would maybe make it to like 3 of them. So the lesson which I got from there is just continue trying. Like you don't know where your luck sits. You don't know where your destiny is taking you to. So I always try and make sure that if there's an opportunity which is open and I qualify, I make sure that I apply. I don't know what the results will look like, but I'm not going to deselect myself. So it's always that kind of thing which inspires me every day because I want like a better future for myself. Like I want to see myself growing. I want to see myself far in life. Like I want to afford the opportunities I couldn't afford when I was a kid.
Okay, I think I loved the way you also talk about taking steps and looking for the future and looking towards the future to have more.
Exactly.
And that you need to be able to take those small steps to eventually take bigger steps to your future to ensure that you
Exactly.
always have that motivation.
Yeah.
So I love, yeah.
Because when you look at it, because we all come from different backgrounds. Like you might have someone who comes from a very well-off family where in the midst of like connections, networks, the money is there, everything is present, where they don't have to take very big steps. They don't have to even do the baby steps because their parents have paved the way. But I feel like the more us as people, you understand where your background is from, like as in you understand the kind of opportunities which you can get. You understand your stance on like the privilege which you have. Use that privilege, go far. So like use your immediate network, use all those things which can
So use your
help you to
present.
like use your presence really.
So as with the background, using everything that has made you who you are, use the
Exactly, like
networks around you, like you
use
said.
all of it, like use all of it, like it can take you a step further.
So like you were
Like
saying
I
about your
want
teacher, where in your
exactly.
library, getting those connections, utilizing
Exactly.
them.
Like seeing where like there's dots and connecting all those dots. So like I won't lie, like I was privileged enough to have had my parents who would pay for my fees. Because I know growing up, we had a couple of students who were not able to complete their studies because of failure to pay fees. So, and that's like a privilege to always like recognize that you are able to complete school without anyone, without being chased away for like school fees or all those other things. And taking advantage of that privilege, that you're now in a space where you've got people who have got a network of like opportunities which they get because they're at school and they have to promote students. Use that as a way to like lift yourself up, like be like, oh, this is what I want to achieve. I think it's always great when you, even if you don't know where you want to go, but just tell them like, I want to try anything. Like, and then over time you'll start realizing the things which you're interested in, and then you then like understand your niche and then see how best to
Go for it.
like set your arsenal and then just go for it.
Well, I get that. So essentially putting yourself out there
Exactly.
and seeing where.
I really think, I think the best thing is to put yourself out there,
Mhm.
because honestly, no one else is going to do it for you. Like
True.
no one cares about you. That's like fine. Like people can care about you, but I think you are the one person who cares about yourself more than anyone else.
And
I
you
don't know
know
if that,
yourself as well. And you
and
know
you know
what
yourself as well.
you want in the future.
Exactly.
So with that said, currently we still within the pandemic and there's the COVID that hit in 2020. So that has also put quite a big hold on a lot of people's plans. And as you said, you were looking for ways on, it also had to make you reevaluate your
Mhm.
tourism goals and how to put it
Exactly.
now into this COVID time.
Mhm.
What would you give as advice as well for people that currently have fallen into a slump? Because COVID has done that with the whole sickness and now going from
Mm,
working conventional jobs to working online to not having proper interaction. It can also put that
mm,
slump on
mm.
people. So what advice do you
No,
have for people that,
100%,
are lacking
100%.
motivation?
100%. I think besides even like looking at the entrepreneurial route, I think there's a lot of opportunities which have been opened like during this time, this whole COVID-19 era, where there's a lot of like online courses which have been opened for free. Like you've got like the Ivy League universities such as Harvard, who have opened their platform so that people can like access all these different resources. Because I think this whole pandemic has taught us that it's best to upskill yourself
Mm.
and know and sort of like be equipped with a lot of skills which you can sort of like pull out from your arsenal, and that way you'll be able to sort of like then apply for jobs which are now needed with the certain skills which are required now. Like if you
True.
look at the fact that we in the fourth industrial revolution, so there's a lot of like artificial intelligence, there's a lot around those kind of like innovations. So you want to make sure that you've got skills which are within that kind of range, because
And to
you
make
want
yourself
to make
more
sure that
attractive there in those areas.
exactly. So you become more attractive within that kind of industry because people want to hire people who can keep up with what the industry looks like. So it's always best to upskill yourself.
Mhm.
So especially now, let's say you were doing more of like a trade which needs you to be present, but now you can't do that. The best thing is to go make sure that you learn a lot of like those Microsoft applications and then at least know the basics. And then once you know the basics, you then start looking for industries which want to hire people, because a lot of people are now hiring people who can work from home.
Mm.
So there's a lot of opportunities which are open. There's like the teaching of English in foreign
As
countries.
well, yeah.
So
Because I think it also
there's
puts
a
you online to go not only within one place, but now you can opportunities abroad and all over are
exactly. I
open.
think you said it better than me. So you are in a space where you can learn. I think that's a blessing in disguise, which came with COVID-19. That there's a lot of like learning opportunities which have been made free by most of these well-renowned universities, and I think it's best that people tap into them. I'll see if I've got like a few links which I can then send to you, which you can also like publish after this, so that people
Yeah.
can tap
But
into them. But there's a lot of free like education which has been put out into the world, which I think it's best that everyone taps into it.
no, I love that. Enriching yourself with new skills. And I guess even if you're in a funk and you don't feel like your industry is working out for you, discovering the new industries. And as you said, the
Exactly.
fourth industrial revolution is current and everything's moving online, finding a way to utilize that for yourself as well. Because
Exactly.
as you were saying, now there's online schools that are going on. A person can homeschool
Exactly.
through online schools. So you can use
Exactly.
those free courses on using any platform.
Yes,
So
we've got LinkedIn, there's edX, like all
mm,
those different platforms, and reaching people in different aspects of life. So even if you've got a business and you feel like it's failing, you can then look that up, like online, like how best can I improve my business in terms of like the different kind of avenues you can take to sort of like
mm,
improve that business. So it doesn't even just cater to people who want to educate themselves in terms of like the skills, but it can help you find other avenues which allow you to then be able to improve your business or digitalize your business, because we are moving into an event where like a lot of things are getting digitized and all those kind of
true.
things. Yeah,
I mean, you can have online meeting, like currently we're doing this online, and
definitely.
those how many events as well, such as the Dubai ones or international ones where you can watch now from the comfort of your home and getting
Exactly, which is quite sad though, because it's
mm,
hurting the tourism industry, if
true.
you get me right. But anyway,
Like,
it is what it is. Like it's the kind of era which we're in, really.
true. So with that said,
Hmm.
currently also Africa also has a problem with unemployment within the youth and how the youth are kind of left to the side with it. And with that said, a lot of them are leaving. A lot of our youth are leaving. And this was
Hmm.
before COVID, even, where a lot of our youth are leaving and are planning to move outside of Africa to get more opportunities. So,
Mm.
with that, how do you think that our governments, African governments, can support our youth to stay and to utilize, as you said, the online platforms and all to stay in Africa and to benefit Africa and not to also look for jobs or create jobs outside of Africa, but to actually keep it in and help the African people and economy.
when I like when I was understanding your question, it's sort of like two-sided. So there's the part of like the brain drain, which is happening in the entire continent, and then
Yes.
two, what can our governments do to sort of like stop that brain drain?
Yes.
So at the moment, um, there is like higher salaries, better opportunities, which so it's something which I don't want to deny, which is there. Like there's better opportunities outside our continent. The main reason is because right now our continent is not giving us um, like enough opportunities for all of us because we are a growing population.
Mm,
So there's a lot of us. It's unlike countries like Canada, where they've got an aging population where you've got a lot of people. So it's when you look at the shape of how their demographic look like, it comes from like the top
the top
going down. So the workforce is very
diminished.
little. So that's why a lot of people are migrating towards the West. This is mainly because of the opportunities which are being opened. But how do we then sustain our people to remain in the country or to remain in the continent rather? I think the government can step in by looking at the fact that at the moment there's sort of like a gap between like the industry and the education which we're getting as the African continent. So where there is a lot of like job opportunities which are open here in Africa, but you might find that the hires or people they hire are people from abroad. So they also pay people who are coming from like France, UK. So you've got a lot of like expatriates which are based in our African continent who are getting a lot of money, which we are not getting. It's because they are skilled with the kind of skills which match up to the work standards which are needed. And I think it's high time our governments relook at what our education looks like, make it more
Yes.
practical. And I think I'm grateful to have gone to the African Leadership University, where I think Fred Swanika really saw the gap and tried to sort of like meet it halfway, where we've got we had multiple internships where during the time I was learning, I knew that during the summer break, I would go for an internship where I then learn new skills, which I've then been able to sort of like use
Yes.
within the space. I've become more hireable as per se, where it's easy to hire someone who has had past experiences. And the reason why a lot of our people are leaving is because when they get there, they get upskilled and then they remain there because now they're meeting those kind of requirements. So what our governments would do is try and improve the education which we're having, try and meet up with the fourth industrial revolution. Like we can't be using the same syllabus which was being used in the year 2000 or 2005 or 2010. Like times have changed. A lot of things have been developed. A lot of jobs have changed. Like the kind of electrical engineer who was there in 1996 is totally different
from
from
now.
the kind of electrical, from now. So it's all about keeping up with the times. And I think that's what our government is lacking. And I think that's where they can best tap into.
No, I get what you mean, that we need to move forward. And as you were saying, the education level is where it should start, because African Leadership University, also their first year, I think is also quite beneficial with that, by teaching certain
Exactly.
skills that you'll need when you go intern at a company or when you leave as well. They develop certain skills practically. So
Exactly.
incorporating that not only into university level, but finding ways to incorporate it into schooling level could also help our youth, and developing our
100%,
technology
100%,
as well.
100%.
That in schools, since we're moving digital, find ways to teach kids more digitally and give them that
Definitely.
digital skills that majority would lack
Exactly.
as well. Teaching those digital
Yeah.
skills that are needed now and that create more jobs now and are more beneficial now.
100%.
So no,
So I would say the government should first like invest in like technology infrastructure, because right now like our technology infrastructure or like networks are very slow. Like as in I'm not speaking for South Africa only. Like I'm looking at the rest of the continent. Like the internet penetration is very low as compared to the countries in the West. So it's all about like them making sure that we subsidize those costs, which a lot of people are facing, and making sure that internet access is readily available to a lot of people, because most of our population is really also in the rural areas. So we might think of digitizing like the world, or rather like the country, but you might find like half of the population is in the rural areas. They still don't have access to something as basic as internet. So I think it starts with really making sure that like the mobile telecoms and like the optic fibers are installed in all those areas, so that there's better access to internet. Then that way it can like it's a step-by-step approach to improve things like the technology infrastructure in the country.
True, because I guess it's not something that you can just do overnight. And as well,
Definitely.
because as you were saying that with us as Africa, we also have one of the youngest, I think the youngest continent. As in 2020, we were, I think 60% of our population, of Africa's population, was below 25. And with that, it could also present as an opportunity for that youth to try to meet those gaps. And also, as
Definitely.
Fred has done with ALU, try to bridge that gap within Africa and bring it not only to university level, but bring it lower down to a younger level going
Exactly.
up. So it also presents itself as an opportunity for the youth to get into.
Yeah. I think you've said it correctly, like just making sure that everyone is sort of like prepared, and that we are also meeting like the standards of what the fourth industrial revolution has set for us.
True.
So trying to make sure that we are equipped with the right skills for change, and be able to be adaptable. Yeah, because I think adaptability is one of those key skills which a lot of us need, because the world is changing at a very fast pace. So it's good that people need to be able to keep up with the time.
So as you're saying that certain skills and certain mindsets are needed, what are some skills that you believe the youth will also need, and maybe a young entrepreneur will also need, to not only match this time, the COVID pandemic time, but also the fourth industrial revolution time? What skills do you believe will be needed?
That's that's a very difficult question, because there's a wide range of skills which I think the youth need. So
What would be
starting
your
with
top five?
like soft skills.
Oh yeah,
So
soft skills.
starting with like soft skills and transferable skills. So I think you need someone who is a good communicator, because you find like the workplace, whether even if you start your own business, you need to know how to communicate, because you
True.
can't have your subordinates not understanding what you require them to do. So I think just knowing how to communicate, whether it's verbal, whether it's written, I think it's such an important skill, because I think communication takes people very far. Then the next thing is time management. I think that's key, because time is such an essential resource which we never get back. So I think a lot of people just need to make sure that they manage time, because people love this whole African time. Oh, sorry, I'm late. African time. Guys, that's not it. Like,
True.
that's just not going to cut it. Like, people just need to be on time. People need to respect time, because there's a lot, yeah, like there's a lot which can be done within that lost time, where people are like, oh, sorry, African time. No.
Time is time.
And that's exactly, and that's how a lot of people are also not keeping the jobs they have, because your boss is seeing you're late every day. Like, that's just bad reputation. So it's good to always like keep time and making sure that you're present and you are available at that point in time. Then I think the third thing is more of like computer and digital skills. So we're not saying everyone should be a programmer or something along those lines. We're saying like have those basic skills,
So to be
know how to
computer
use like
literate.
exactly. So know how to use like the Microsoft applications, know how to use Word or Google Docs. Just know how to use like those different platforms, like the basic ones. And then moving from the like just basic digital literacy. I think it's what's needed, because there's a lot of applications which are being made here and there. So it's very important for someone to be like to be there with tech, like as in you should know how the apps are working, how everything is working, because a lot of things are being digitized. You can't be doing an invoice on paper. People are typing it out. So like if you're running a business, so like keep up with the times. So I think the third one, like just make sure that you're computer literate. And then I would say like the fourth skill, which is very, very important, is I would say it really ties back to like the communication and time, where it's sort of like, I think I would say adaptability. It's not really a skill, but I think it's a characteristic which is very important, which is a glue. Um, it's a glue like between all these different things,
True.
like being adaptable to change. Like it will help you in the long run to like know what you need to do.
Mm,
So you know, like if things are changing, you're not one of those old people
left
who are
behind.
like, oh, why are we changing the system?
Mm,
What's happening? No, keep up with the times, like keep it moving. That's
true.
that's that's really what people need. Like we need those kind of people who, like, the industry is changing, they're
You can
keeping
move
up
with,
with the times, you're up with the pace. Exactly.
and I
And
guess
I
with
think
adaptability
we
as well,
all,
it can go back with communication because communication allows you teamwork, and
exactly,
adaptability will allow you to adapt to each of your team members to bring them in. Then on top of that, it'll be able to move different teams as well. And then
exactly.
when
I
digital
think,
literacy comes in, get in with different digital medias.
yeah. And
Yes.
I think you've already explained the fifth skill, which I would say like is important. I think knowing how to work with others, because
Ah,
um like we've got different characters, we've got different personalities, but I
mm,
think the more you learn how to gel with people, it increases the sort of like performance which is required of you at work. So and I think that's a very important skill, knowing how to work with people, knowing how to work with others, and just respecting those different boundaries which are present. So teamwork is very important, but
mm.
knowing how to work with people, knowing when people's emotions are high, having that emotional intelligence. So,
Yes.
so having that emotional intelligence is a very important skill because it helps you to be more empathetic. So you understand even when you're creating solutions for your customers, you know what kind of solution you're developing. Emotional intelligence also helps you to understand when, let's say, fine, you're a boss, you understand the frustrations of the employees. You don't just ignore what people are going through. So it helps a lot, like it grounds you as a person, and it also helps you work with people because we live with people. Businesses are run by people. When we design solutions, they're designed for people.
For people.
So you need to have that kind of skill, which allows you to be in touch with the people.
Mm. And I love what you said there about industries are for the people and everything goes back to the
Exactly.
people. And I think all the
Mhm.
skills you've set, even the computer literacy and the time one especially, computer literacy might not, but it can still, but they all go back to the people, that you need to be able to
100%.
communicate with people, time management, so you can also respect the other person's time. Because nobody's going to take you
100%.
seriously if you walk in an hour late. Even if you're trying to
Mm.
start a business, if you're late, nobody's going to respect you, or you won't get funding or whatever you need. It will all be ruined
Exactly.
by your time. Being able
Exactly.
to adapt, you also need to adapt to people because people also change, times change, and when times change, people change with time. So you need to be able
Exactly.
to find your way in with people and they're changing. So I love that part about people because, and the emotional intelligence will allow you to always think about the person you're trying to do this for, and you'll be able to
Exactly.
get
Exactly. I
further.
think
So now that's beautiful
you
advice.
you summarized you summarized everything I was saying nicely. Great listener.
Thank you. So right now we're near the end of this video. And I love to leave this on also a positive note for one, the youth, and for young entrepreneurs as well, who will be able to watch this and gain a bit of inspiration. Because as I was saying to you, before we start recording, before going to Mauritius and being in Mauritius, there was two different mindsets that I had personally. And I think the change also when I left, meeting people like you and having that connection of people like you allowed me to change my mindset and to get into a whole different mindset and to appreciate opportunities and to go for opportunities and give it my all and the mindset behind it. And with that, I'd also like for you maybe to share a bit of advice that you have for anybody else watching this to say, this is your advice for them.
Okay, that's hard. That's very difficult. But I would say my advice would be go for it. Like whatever you want, go for it. Like just continuously try harder. Like you might fail today, but be the kind of person who wants to seek feedback. Like how best can I improve in order to get whatever I want? So I think being that kind of person who's always ready to grow from the feedback you get from people, you will take yourself very far because you'll be growing from your mistakes, and it will help you eventually in life to perfect whatever you want to do. So go for it. If it fails, ask for feedback. Even if it went well, ask for feedback so that you constantly know what you should constantly do. So
Constant
go
growth.
for it, ask for feedback, do it again. It's like a cycle. I think I'll give people go for it, get feedback, do it again.
No, that's perfect advice because it's essentially just saying never just sit in that one spot. Don't be afraid of
Exactly.
one criticism, two, just jumping for it because you'll never know if you don't try. Because you don't know if you're good at something if you don't try it. The first, if you fail at it, failure isn't necessarily you being bad at it. It's just probably that perspective or that time. And that's where the feedback would come in. To have people.
Failure is the key to success, really. Like, because you know what not to repeat again.
Mm.
And you know what to do now because it helps you. So once you fail, you know that you are going to perfect whatever you want to do.
Mm. No, I love that advice. I think jumping in, knowing, because that's the best one can do as well, especially if you're trying to build yourself, is fail, get back up, get help, get people around you. And I think if I could add as well, getting people around you that could give you constructive feedback as well.
100%, 100%.
Because I think you could get people that would just like be negative about it, but having those constructive people that would be like, this is where you went off, but if you do this,
you need that constructive feedback.
But thank you very much for taking your time out of your day to do this and for the advice you've given. Because throughout the whole video, for myself personally, it kind of brought back some of the memories also of being not necessarily in person, but seeing you and the impact that you have and some of that mentality that you have and getting some of it back. It's quite beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. And I hope to continue doing videos and having you in a few of them as well, because I think your mind is just beautiful. As I said to you before we started, your mind is just beautiful. Your drive, your work ethic, you just radiate a certain energy, which is amazing. And So I would love to have you for future videos past this one as well. So thank you very much. And I think for maybe to close it as well, would you like to also talk about maybe some projects you're doing, work you're doing, or future projects you'd love to do, just to get them out as well to the world, to people to
Okay.
get in?
No, Letao, thank you so much for all those lovely words which you've said. So yeah, like, you know, like when your days have been so hectic and then someone says something that's nice, it always sort of like lights up your, like your bubble and all that. But otherwise, so I've been, the way like I always want to like announce my projects when they're now at the destination. But anyway, I'll give a sneak peek. So ZibuTravels is now fully registered as
Yeah.
a company here in South Africa. So we'll be having multiple events to come soon. I'm going to let you guys know. I'll be posting a lot. So doing like a whole like website and all that. So right now, that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
So it's even going bigger. It's not just like the small events. We'll be doing more of like booking your flights, doing a lot of like your COVID stuff. So we're keeping it in line with whatever is happening. So
Okay.
also getting people discounts. So getting discounts on like accommodation and all that, like globally. So that's what we are going for.
Yes.
So ZibuTravels is back, and because I had to do like a lot of like introspection on how this can continue, but in the light of COVID. So that's just one. And then two, my career is continuing. So I work at Caterpillar at the moment. I'm a service excellence graduate intern. So there's a lot of like data analysis which I'm doing within the kind of scope of work which I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it. It's fun. There's a lot of other projects which I can't disclose because of the company confidentiality.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all going well.
Oh no, that's good. Do you have a social media set up for ZibuTravels that we could post in the comment section?
Okay. Not yet, because everything is still under development. But for now, people can follow my personal pages, because that's where I'll be doing a lot of like updates and like driving people to the new page. So for Instagram, it's zibu.siso. Then for Twitter, it's zibu_siso.
Okay.
Then Facebook, I hardly use it, but it's Zibusiso Mtunzi. It's like my name.
Okay. I'll also put them down in the comment section and they'll appear also up here as well. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
and
which side
also
yet.
on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, for those who want a lot of like the corporate advice.
I'll put them all, they'll be on the screen as well, but for direct use, they'll also be in the description below so people can get into ZibuTravels and any events that you host.
Cool.
But thank you very much. It was a very insightful interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well.